Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Bryden. I am the chair of the Portland, Maine Board of Education's Finance, Operations, and Personnel Committee. I am calling tonight's committee meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. It's March 24th, 2025. Welcome. We have a very exciting meeting tonight, an agenda of one item, essentially, to continue discussing the fiscal year 26 budget. And specifically, our task today will be to procedurally vote the budget onto the full board. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion about what may or may not need to be changed through motions to amend the budget as it stands. And then in order to get to the end of this meeting, we also need to have a committee vote to move this budget onto the full board before we get a motion to adjourn before the end of the meeting. Typically, our meetings are scheduled for 90 minutes, so that would bring us to 7:30 p.m. In the past, sometimes this particular process step has taken a little bit longer than that. We will see how it goes tonight, but just wanted to let folks know that while I am often I try to be very, very, very respectful of people's time. I mean, I do that. I do always try to be respectful of people's time. This is an example of a meeting where occasionally it does go a little bit over, just to let folks know about that possibility. So we are at almost full attendance of the committee. As I said, I'm the chair of the committee. My name's Sarah Bryden. With us, we also have committee member, board member Opperman, and board member Lena. Hopefully committee member, board member Nora will be able to join us soon. We have with us board chair Lentz, and then from staff, we have Dr. Scallon, superintendent. We have Dr. Warren, the senior executive director of strategy. We have Dr. Valenzuela, the director of communications. We have Jennifer Slabank, the head of HR. We have Heather Peters, the accounting manager. And we have Dr. Ahmed, the head of secondary education. So we have a lot of wonderful folks with us. And what I'm going to do right now is I am actually going to see if there's any folks wanting to give public comment. If there are, let me get over to participants. If there are, then I will read the guidelines for public comment. If there is no public comment, I'm not going to spend the 3 minutes reading the guidelines. And it looks like nobody has raised a Zoom hand. So just give it a moment. All right. I'm going to close public comment and we will move forward with our conversation. Let's see. So, Superintendent Scallon, did I understand correctly that I apologize, I'm not in board docs at the moment. I'm curious about whether up on board docs is the slide that procedurally shows what we need to accomplish in this meeting with the flow chart, and whether that could be shared for a moment.
It is in board docs. I'm also happy to share my screen with it up.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Thank you very much. So, so this is just sort of a visual representation of what we need to accomplish tonight. So where we're going to start is whether there are any motions to amend the budget. So as a reminder, in several, I would say in several of our committee meetings, we've talked about different components to the budget and different mechanisms to adjust funding and different things that the committee's thinking about in that regard. And then a week ago, we talked about this specific budget in a little bit more detail, talked about some of the considerations around where the superintendent's proposed budget is relative to where we might land. So tonight is going to be an opportunity for committee members to move forward motions to make amendments. So if there are any such motions, then we're going to go through this process of seeing if there's a second, and then having the ability to ask questions. And then the ability for folks from the public to give public comment on that particular motion to make that particular amendment. We'll have committee discussion, and then we'll have a roll call vote on any potential amendment. Any motion to amend needs to get 3 votes. And if it gets the 3 positive votes, then the motion passes and the budget will be amended accordingly. Once we're done with motions to amend the budget, then we'll have a motion to move the budget as it looks at that point onto the full board. We'll go through the same process. If that passes, then we will be able to entertain a motion to adjourn. If that passes, we'll adjourn. And as you can see with the arrows, there is also a bunch of no paths as well. So we'll circle through. Board Member Opperman, did I see your hand go up?
You did, Chair, but it was going to be a procedural question.
Sure.
And I think you answered it because of discussion. It could be taking place on not amendments, but on questions of what ifs, which might be more appropriate during a discussion of the full budget.
Okay.
Moving forward. So that's what my thought is on that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. If the question that you're thinking of comes up, then by all means speak up and we will cover it.
Okay.
Super. Okay. Any questions at this point other than that one? Okay. All right. So I actually am going to introduce the first motion, and it is specifically intended to make sure that we are starting this potential conversation from a point of clarity and accuracy. So the last time we discussed the fiscal year 26 budget, we were talking about the superintendent's proposed budget from earlier in March, and what has happened since our last meeting is just a couple of small nuanced updates. So I want to just get those on the record in the form of a motion to amend so that we are cleaning up the proposed budget as we are discussing it. And so that if and when that moves on to the full board, we're talking about dollars and cents exactly as it currently appears in the budget book. Let's see. So I'm going to make a motion to adjust the proposed superintendent's budget for March 4th with the following changes. 1, to lower the non-personnel expenses by approximately $50,440 in alignment with the expenses that the Foundation for Portland Public Schools will be able to fundraise. 2, a reduction of 0.5 FTE EdTech at Row. That's just a small adjustment to clean that up. And then the third one being an adjustment of a small number of facilities titles that were in the proposed budget originally with a couple of typos. So at Lyseth, what had appeared in the budget book was BC 3HC, and it should be BC 4HC. Similarly, at Ocean and King, there are a couple of custodian titles that are being updated for accuracy. Do I have a second for that motion? Thank you, Board Member Lena. All right, so going back to, I'm just going to look at the flow chart on my own screen. Are there any questions from members of the committee on this motion? Okay, let's see. And just going over to the participants list, is there any public comment on this particular motion? Seeing none, I'll close public comment on the motion. I also want to acknowledge that Board Member Noor, who is a member of the committee, has joined us. Thank you so much. Welcome. All right. Is there any committee discussion on the motion? Okay. All right. Then we are going to do a roll call vote on this particular motion. Let's see. Board Member Opperman.
I vote yes on the amendment.
Board Member Lena.
Yes.
Board Member Noor.
Yes.
And I am voting yes. So that motion passes unanimously. All right. So now we are working with that as amended version of the superintendent's proposed budget. And I am going to see if there are other motions to amend the budget. Seeing none, let's see. I'm going to see if there's a motion to move the budget to the full board. All right, wonderful. Board Member Opperman, thank you. And a second from Board Member Lena? Super. All right, let's see. Are there any questions from members of the committee?
I think
Board Member Opperman, go ahead.
this is where I think it's appropriate to bring what my discussion. Our discussion was about the last couple of meetings about where we might be able to reduce the budget. And I guess we're voting, when we vote it forward, and it is voted forward, it is voted based on a certain dollar amount. Okay, and so the question I have is, if we find that we have expenses that are coming in, which we don't know our value, would it be, how might we be amending the budget to keep that amount? Because that's my concern. I don't want to go past that amount, if possible.
Yeah. Are you thinking specifically of the conversation we had last week about the potential for benefits costs to go up? Yeah. Okay. So I will say that, my understanding is that if those costs are higher than what appears in the current proposed budget in terms of a predicted or budgeted cost, if they come in higher than that, then my understanding is that we have an opportunity to address that as the full board discusses any potential amendments to the budget as part of that process.
And if we were to send it off to the city and still hadn't heard, what is the potential there for confusion?
I think that there is potential for confusion, I suppose, if we get to further down the path and still don't have that level of detail. But Superintendent Scallon, I'd be looking to you for your thoughts on whether it's likely that we get that far down the process path without detailed benefits numbers.
So I'm not sure. I think we're in a spot where we ask our benefits provider on almost a daily basis if they can share with us an update. I think what we need to plan for and have a discussion at either here at committee or at the full board is, if we do not have the information, what we would adjust to as a potential, because what you as a board would do is approve the overall tax levy, right? That's what at the end of the day you're approving. It's not even the tax rate, you're approving a tax levy. So you're saying $127 million. And that gets fixed then. And so if you were to approve that and then benefits came in higher, we would have to reduce other expenses. And so my suggestion would be that we see at the end of this week, if we can get a clarity of date by which we will have the benefit premium. If we do not have that, that we have a discussion next week at board of a new estimated and how you want to handle that. And we do that at the first read. And it could be even to say, we will increase it as much as this, but if it doesn't come in, we'll hold it as a reserve, or there are probably a couple of different ways we could do that, or even have the city council vote it back if it comes in lower and then adjust it. I think there could be a couple of different ways to do this. But I think once you approve it, you're putting it in city council's hands to then move it forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions related to that specific topic around potential changes to big ticket numbers like benefits? Okay. All right. So, any other questions from committee members on that or any other topic about this motion to move the budget to the full board? Okay. All right. I am going to check and see if there's any public comment on this motion specifically. Let's see. Not seeing any Zoom hands. So, going to close public comment on this motion. Let's see. Okay. So, is there any discussion among committee members on the motion?
I just will reemphasize, pardon.
Certainly. Go ahead.
Reemphasize my concern of whatever we do in the future, that we are not increasing the tax levy and all. So that's my only discussion.
Thank you, Board Member Opperman. And I'll add to the conversation, and in terms of some brief comments just to explain my perspective on voting this forward to the full board. I understanding that the benefits cost is a little bit up in the air. I do think that the budget as proposed strikes a really good balance between investments and very strategic and well thought out use of taxpayer dollars to support education for our students and give them the meaningful, relevant, joyful education that they deserve. So I want to, as I have in other meetings, really express my gratitude to staff and everybody that has put a lot of time and energy into building the budget. Also to my fellow committee and board members who have spent time and energy reviewing it. And it just in great detail and examining the ways in which we might be able to make adjustments if we need to, if benefits come in at a much higher rate than we expected. Let's see, any other committee discussion before we do a roll call vote? Okay. All right. So by roll call vote, please indicate whether you are going to vote on this motion to move the budget to the full board. Board Member Opperman.
Yes, I would like to move this budget to the full board.
Board Member Lena.
Yes.
Board Member Noor.
Yes.
And I am also voting yes. So the motion passes unanimously, and the fiscal year 26 budget will move on to the full board. That is the end of our agenda. So I will now be looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, board Chair, go ahead.
Yeah, can I just ask one question about what the full board will get in preparation for the April 1st meeting in regards to the budget? I just want to make sure that whatever it is, it has, all the most recent numbers and changes, which I'm not sure if it's different from what was in board docs today.
What was in board docs is, oh, sorry, Chair, can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What was in board docs was an anticipation of that motion, and so it is the most up to date. And so that is actually the budget book as of the passing of the Finance Committee. And so that is the most up to date.
So, Chair Bryden, would you send a communication to the full board explaining just the context of that and what was changed in this budget book, so folks have that going into the full board meeting? That'd be great. Thank you.
Yep. Super. Okay. Yes, I can absolutely do that. And we are, as I mentioned, at the end of our agenda. So I would be looking for a motion to adjourn. Board Member Lena, and a second from Board Member Opperman. And then just by show of hands. Wonderful. So we are adjourned at 6:23 p.m. Thank you so much again for everybody's hard work, time, and energy. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you.